And could people who wish to speak, could I have about 5 of you line up here in front of me, and we'll start. That said, maybe would you like to speak a few words first?
Yeah,
okay. So if you want to start lining up, a few of you, and Vice President.
I want to thank everybody for taking time to come and talk to me individually, privately, but not so privately. This obviously has been a hard decision. I'll try to put some context behind where. Color than you think. The context that we found ourselves in was facing about $1.3 million shortfall in our budget this year. The board has, by law, no choice but to pass a balanced budget. We were instructed by the board in April to prepare a balanced budget, which meant, and it isn't the case that we hadn't had conversations before. We've actually been realizing that we had the shortfall and that we've been working diligently to try to come up with the best solutions to meet the budget shortfall. You should know, everybody in this room should know, that your board chair, Robin Brain, and your chancellor, Peter Ufford, some of the VPs and myself have been working very closely with government throughout the past year to try to find a solution to the fact that CAP, compared to other universities, has the lowest operating grant of any university. That means we've got accumulated years of shortfall, and we've made lots of adjustments. And if you want to know about how those adjustments have come out in the past, we'd be happy to talk about those. But we really have come to a point in our history as a university, because of the chronic shortfall in operating, that we simply have to weigh in and make some very, very difficult decisions. You have to know, I take no joy in this at all. This is, in terms of my career, probably the worst day in my life. Just like for many of you who are in the art programs and in some of the other programs that are facing some really difficult times ahead, it's not a good day for you either. So it's been hard, and I have to thank everyone who has worked with us throughout the past several months to try to come up with some solutions. It is the case that these are our recommendations that will go to the board. It is ultimately the Board of Governors that will pass the budget. It is really important that your voices be heard, and that's why I've agreed to meet with students, especially today, and I will have meetings throughout the coming weeks ahead with faculty as well, and staff too, because we do really want to hear your concerns, and if you have better ideas, please share them with us. So, in the interest of moving this along, Karen, are you ready? And I want to thank Karen for agreeing to come and help mediate this today. So thank you.
Thank you. So, come in, and please, when you arrive, state your name so we know who's talking, and say hello to everybody, and perhaps your area of study.
Hello, my name is Emily Hill, and I completed the textile art program here in 2010. I've gone on to continue my studies at Emily Carr, where I'm graduating at the moment, and I was taking a course here this semester, so that's my context. I guess my first response is, right now, this setting being called here today, as much as I appreciate your intentions, something about this dynamic seems very much the interview sort of one-on-one set up with yourself, and our student body right now has sort of collectively organized themselves to be united, and right now singling us out to talk about this. Something about that dynamic seems very strange to me, and I needed to jump out and just address that issue first off, because the dynamic here is of an interview where we're sort of left where we don't have the answers. Like, we right now are kind of coming up in unity with each other to support each other, and to be singled out, it's kind of like this is the root of interview is interrogation. Like right now, to be alone, I'm not comfortable with that, and our protest is about being together and having a discussion amongst ourselves and with you. program had organized amongst ourselves before this meeting was called to show up in your office today as a protest. And I'm not sure if this was organized in response to that action that was going to happen independently, or whether this kind of was a happenstantial consequence. But the fact that it's happening in the midst of something that we've organized amongst ourselves to come address you in your office as a protest, I'm not sure what that dynamic is right now, and maybe you can answer some of those questions.
Yes, I can answer that question. I heard that you were coming to talk to me in protest, right? My first responsibility is for your safety, okay? Sometimes protests get out of hand, okay? And I've actually... And I have actually been in a situation in my former institution where students did occupy the president's office, and it left very deep scars on the staff, in particular in that office, who were trying to manage the emotion and the tension that erupted in that meeting. So in the interest of safety to my staff and safety to students, and trying to put it in the context of actually listening and carrying on a dialogue, I felt this was a better venue. This was my idea, absolutely.
And directly in response to cutting down the protests that we've organized in some way?
No, absolutely not. I think you're all here talking with me. What would we have accomplished by having this in my office that we can't accomplish here?
The dynamic is quite different. That's all I'm trying to point out.
Yes, it is.
And basically, like, the power structure is, as we're responding to it, is we're helpless.
Well, you don't think I feel helpless too?
And it's a complicated issue, but I think basically our action as a protest has to continue as an action outside of what this forum represents to us.
Absolutely, and I expect it will.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
April 24, 2013, Capilano U decided to suspend the studio art and textile department. They killed the art. They killed the culture. What will we have? A future without art? No art, no food for the soul.
Thank you. First off, thank you for the first person who came up and spoke. I appreciate that. Especially because you sounded like you didn't really want to. That took courage. I appreciate that. Was that you? Yes, thank you.